Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast. It's episode 99. We are dragging the arse right out it on the build up to episode 100. It feels like between 90 and 100 has been the longest stretch in the podcast history. And we're taking it back. We thought, what a better way to celebrate 99 episodes before the big 100 than taking it back to how it all began here on what is effectively Zoom. It's like COVID times. What is it you said when we first loaded in, Ryan? You said like we were in a time warp or something.
I think it was you that said that. It wasn't me.
Well, it was you were alluding to something and I finished your sentence, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're used to this though, dude. This is what you do every day.
I know, and I've just finished work as well, so it feels like kind of a continuation. This isn't work though, of course not. I would never ever call this work. So, yeah, I'm delighted to be here.
It's all enjoyment, isn't it? Yeah, but we are on, before I get to introducing Calum and Ryan properly, if you are wondering why we're not in the G4 studio, the only reason for it is there was no space in the G4 studio this week. And I want us to get back on track, want us to get back to consistency. International breaks are finished. We have no excuses from now until March. I just wanted us to get going, and by delaying it another week, that wouldn't have been the best start. So we had to get it done one way or another. So we're here and we're always here. And that starts with you, Calum Craig. First time you've been on in ages. How are you feeling?
It's nice to be back. Also, a bit of pain it's online, but I mean, just looking forward to that episode 100 with a full premiere for it.
A live booze in the studio or something. We'll just
amazing.
we'll just get absolutely out of faces.
Just go to Firewater like we did that last time with the TSF Christmas special.
Oh God, let's not bring that up because
no, absolutely
Kieran
not.
A funny story, didn't he? I think for a certain bucket of venom. Kieran's not here this week. What I will say is, in place of Kieran, I must say, Calum, the moustache is some upgrade. The moustache is looking fine, so that's good. How have you managed that?
This is the most I've actually maintained it. I mean, with it being November, so the full November and such, it's continued on. Next year I will finally raise money for it. This year's just sheer laziness.
This is like the practice shot before you go all in. And Ryan McGinlay's down the bottom of the screen. Ryan, it's nice to see you as always. How you doing?
Things are good, yeah. Glad to have the proper football back after it feels like ages away with regard to the international break. Last one until March, as you said. So, yeah, we'll get plenty to discuss and plenty to talk about. It's never quiet in the world of Celtic, even when there's no football on. So we've plenty to discuss this evening, I reckon.
Yeah, we do have quite a bit to discuss. Also, we'll try and get things done quickly as possible when it's a Zoom version so that everybody at home isn't subject to our horrible, lack of quality between the three of us on Zoom. So let's just get into things, I suppose. We do have a number of topics we could start off with, but I feel like we may as well just start with the basics. It's been a while since we've watched Celtic in action, so let's talk about the game. Let's just get that out of the way first. I know we've got an AGM, I know January's round the corner, I know there's another few things to talk about, but Celtic take on Motherwell. At time of release, it'll be tomorrow, back at Celtic Park. Looking to pick up where we left off, Ryan. A 6-0 win against Aberdeen. It's all about just carrying on that momentum and looking like there's no stumbling coming back from an international break. Should be straightforward stuff.
Chance to go 11 points clear, which is absolutely incredible. I know that there's Rangers will have 2 games in hand by the time that game's finalised, but those are still 2 games that Rangers have got to go out and win That hasn't always been the case over the course of the season, that they've actually went out and won their games. So yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see if Celtic can keep that going, keep the good feeling going. There was certainly a good feeling going into the international break with that Aberdeen result, not just the result, but the performance, the individual performances of certain players. Matt O'Reilly, Lewis Palmer, Yang Hyun Jun as well. There's so many players that had their tails up going into the international break. You hope it's not been too long and they can just continue on with that good feeling that they've got, especially going into a pretty decisive game in Europe. You would say it is it's the last round, the last round of the last chance saloon. They'll be dining at or drinking at. So yeah, it's an important weekend coming up and then an important weekday, but fingers crossed that they can go and get the job done against Motherwell, a team that will be feeling quite sorry for themselves with the run that they're on at the moment. I heard Stuart Kettlewell talking about how the managerial merry-go-round is an absolute disgrace. It sounds like a guy that's certainly under pressure, that's for sure, because I think he might be next on the block. So yeah. Hopefully Celtic can inflict more pain on Motherwell because their form has been quite dreadful recently. Fingers crossed Celtic can put more misery onto them.
Yeah, I think the statistic that I heard in Sky Sports News this morning was that Motherwell haven't won a league game since September. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. So Calum, you put that into the equation. You also put the fact that our last 3 league games have been pretty good. We beat St Mirren, we beat Ross County, we beat Aberdeen. Celtic Park at home is quite a boring one to talk about because ultimately it's the bread and butter. You've got to be winning those games. But when you put the maths together of how well Celtic have played in the last couple of games and how poorly Motherwell have been coming together, it really kind of starts to right itself. Are you confident heading into it?
Definitely. I think I just don't want to obviously, as you've touched on it, as at home you expect it to be a nice easy result. But then again, also last time we played them with that 2-1 with Matt O'Reilly put him up in the 97th minute. I think you just hope there's no shades of that again because it was quite a dreadful watch overall. I felt myself. But no, I think as we've touched on previously, that 6-0 against Aberdeen, you can only hope that the players have been sort of kept on that high, they've kept riding it out, and certain players get their chance again at the weekend.
I forgot but you've actually just reminded me that game actually happened. It was at Fir Park on the 30th of September. Blair Spittle scored in the 95th minute to make it 1-1. Matt O'Reilly scored in the 97th minute to get the win. It just shows you, Calum. I mean, you're talking about how you don't want to get overconfident. Coming back from an international break, especially with Celtic having injuries scattered around the squad, you can't take anybody for granted. It's one that they'll need to be switched on from the start. And, at that point in time, I remember there was a couple of performances that people were questioning. But I think the Celtic squad have done enough since... this is my question to you. Do you think the Celtic squad have done enough since the 30th of September to convince you that we can get through these games more comfortably than maybe we would have at that point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even you look at it, I mean, sort of the big highlights, obviously the 6-0, the 3-0 away to Ross County, a place that in previous years been a bit of a pain for us. And then even not long after that, the 4-1 away at Tynecastle. I mean, we have proven that we have sort of kicked on from it. The only sort of stumbling in there would have been outside of Europe, the 0-0 against Hibs. But same thing again, Easter Road, that's always been a hard place for us as is. But I think you would fancy us to get the job done fairly easy.
Ryan, I mean, we go into this game a couple of players down. There was obviously questions around Lewis Palmer as well. Those questions were then answered very quickly. However, he has got a quick trip back from South America, which also adds an element of doubt as to whether or not he'll be ready to start the game. What is your thoughts of the squad coming into this game? Does it worry you not having your Dyson Maidas around, your Liel Abadas around, especially when you've got to take into consideration now game management is key. You've already brought up the game on Tuesday against Lazio midweek, but this marks a run of fixtures now where Celtic will play 11 games in 38 days, which is nuts. So does it worry you that we're a little bit lighter in first team options, even for a game like Motherwell at home?
I think it's just a perfect opportunity for players to stake a claim that haven't staked one before. Or maybe they have done, and then they've maybe fallen away from it. I look at the likes of Bernardo. You look at Auld and Thiago Home. These are players that can come in and put in a good performance when other players are injured. You know, we've not even spoken about the fact that Rio Hatate's injured until after Christmas, you would assume. Arguably Celtic's best midfielder when everybody's fit, although Matt O'Reilly will have something to say about that. Daisy Maeda being injured is a blow as well, but you've got players like Luis Palma. The fact that Luis Palma is suspended for the game on Tuesday may mean that he starts the game anyway, because you know, all of those yellow cards that he's picked up in the Champions League they've come home to roost for him for sure. They come back to the nest in that regard. So yeah, I think he will start the game. Maybe more of a question mark surrounding Alistair Johnson because he's coming back late from Canada. So maybe Anthony Ralston can come into the team. You know, he's an able deputy, especially at home against a Motherwell side that you would expect Celtic to beat comfortably. If Celtic can't beat this Motherwell team comfortably, then there's something not right, to be honest. But you can't take any games for granted. Every game has got their own challenges, but you would assume that Celtic have got too much both in the starting 11 and on the bench to come off the bench to make easy work of Motherwell, you would suspect. But you can't take anything for granted.
It's good that, you know, despite the players that will miss Calum, and Ryan's also done a good job of expanding on that a little bit, it's nice to see other players who we maybe questioned more towards the start of the season coming through and showing wee glimpses of form. Somebody like O, for example, who has been majorly questioned by the Celtic support, but he started scoring goals now. He got his goals, in the last couple of games. That'll do him the world of good. It's nice to see these players stepping up, and with these 11 games coming up, that's a massive opportunity for guys like that to give even more to the team.
Definitely. I think even the game against Ross County, I think always very unlucky with not getting the assist and then getting the goal chopped off. Very unlucky. Brilliant performance for him, and then as you touched on, getting the 2 goals against Aberdeen. I thought it was really nice his second goal against Aberdeen, the confidence in himself to then go and take it. A lot of players would have just sort of panicked, cut back and played the ball across. Most of the fact the ball would have been to James Forrest. I'm even more delighted they didn't pass it. But no, I think definitely players like that, even like my new personal friend for the shop, Home, he was in the other day. Lovely
man. You made pals with Home?
I've indeed, it was lovely. But I know even like players like Kieran, it'd be nice to see them come in, get a bit of game time, especially with the run of games between now and the new year.
Yeah, it's just going to be a slog, isn't it? I'm not looking forward to the potential backlash if some games don't go as smoothly as what people expect. But that's the kind of the nitty gritty you've got to accept coming into the winter phase, isn't it? You've got to understand that you are playing games thick and fast. You've obviously got games against Lazio and Feyenoord in there. You're taking on really good sides, and it might be a bit rough on the eyes, but Ryan, the most important thing, 3 points. So if Celtic keep racking up 3 points game after game, I'm not going to do an awful lot of complaining, to be quite honest. Let's get into the last segment of the match preview. Let's go into team predictions, because we've got quite a bit to battle through, haven't we? And I feel like we've covered the game pretty well. I'll open the floor very quickly. Anybody got any points they want to throw in about the game tomorrow against Motherwell? Anything at all?
I'm looking forward to seeing more of Yang, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm presuming that he's fully recovered from his knock that he got that forced him off the park against Aberdeen. But you know, it very much was the Palma show against Aberdeen with his 3 assists and 1 goal. You know, we've got a penalty kick taker all of a sudden, which is absolutely amazing. But Yang was so good, especially in that first half. Some of his cutting passes and movements into the box were a joy to behold. So I'm hoping that, unlike his last performance against Motherwell, where I thought he did struggle and he was taken off quite early on in that game. I think it was earlier on in the second half. It might have even been at half time. I can't remember too much. But if Yang can keep up his good performances, then I think he'll be right in about it for the rest of the year in that starting lineup. And good for him, because he's managed to turn it around after what you could probably say was a difficult start for him at the club. Yeah,
Calum, it's been a while since we've had you on. So what's your thoughts on Yang? What have you made of him so far?
I've actually been very pleased with him. I think it's nice to see somebody obviously coming off the wide sides, having that wee sort of cut in, and then the final ball. I think obviously the knock he takes against Aberdeen is a bit unfortunate. Obviously another one we've not really touched on as well was obviously the Kyogo incident in that match. But I think I've been fairly pleased with him. I think it'd be nice to see him obviously sort of kick on, continue on the sort of performance he's been having, and I suppose put the ball at his feet and see what he can do.
I like his dribbling. He's a very, very good dribbler of the ball with the ball at his feet. I've really been impressed with him, and I think there's definitely more to come. As much as Palma is the player for now, I think Yang is the special player for the future that Celtic fans can be really, really excited about in the next 2 to 3 years. He's gonna develop so much under Brendan Rodgers. He's got the best manager to work under, and I think the sky's the limit for him, to be honest with you.
Let's hope so. I mean, I really do like him, to be fair. I think he's just a breath of fresh air in the terms that, other players that we sometimes complain about on the right-hand side of the park not doing certain things. Yang's very raw, but he's very, he's intelligent. He's definitely got that footballing IQ, I think. And, I like him. Let's go into starting 11 predictions then. So, in goals, no conversation. As always, Joe Hart will be there. Back four then. You've already touched on the potential problems with Alistair Johnston making it in time for Saturday, Ryan. So, we'll let you start with the midfield. The back four. What would you say is the back four for Celtic tomorrow?
Do you throw a curveball here? Because it's the first game after the international break.
Nat Phillips.
I was thinking more Nawrowski, but I think it will be. Do you want me to just give you my back four?
Yeah, go for it. Your back four.
So right back Ralston, left back Greg Taylor, centre back Skills, and Carter Vickers for me.
Okay, so effectively an unchanged back four, but forced into the change with Johnston for Ralston. Yeah,
but the same reasoning later on in the predicted lineup will not apply. That's the thing for me, because I'll pick one player that's arriving home late and another player that isn't. So, I'm just trying to mix it up.
It's yeah, I get you, but it's always a goodie bag, isn't it? Like, you reach in, you don't know what you're getting, because it could be a complete shock to us on Saturday.
Every player reacts different as well to travel.
Yeah, so, exactly. I mean, hopefully they all come back in one piece. That's the main thing. Right, okay, that's it. But would you agree with that back four, Calum, or do you think that Johnston will make it in time?
No, I think I'd have to agree with that. As much as I would like Johnston to be in it, obviously as defensively solid and such, I think that's the sort of games you like to see sort of Ralston come in and get a bit of rotation about the squad.
Okay, midfield three then. I'll let you kick it off. You've already spoke about how you'd maybe like to see more of home. We know that Hatate's out injured. Hopefully everybody else is ready to go. There's no other injuries in centre midfield as of significance. We've still got McGregor, still got O'Reilly. I think that's all pretty much good. So Calum, what would be your midfield three?
I think also after to get that bit of rotation, I think I'd like to see home O'Reilly, McGregor.
Okay, Ryan?
If it's going to form, you start David Turnbull, but I don't think it will go to form. I think it'll go to the overall player, because I think Turnbull scored in his last 3 league games.
Yeah, I think Turnbull's like their joint top scorer in the league, isn't he?
Mm-hmm, yeah, he's 5 goals. He scored against Ross County, he scored against St Mirren, and then he scored, other way about, St Mirren, Ross County, and then the Aberdeen game. Obviously, he was on the bench for the game against Atletico Madrid. He came on with about half an hour to go. For me, it's got to be the same one as Calum, to be honest, with McGregor in the 6, O'Reilly just. Alright. I'd probably play O'Reilly a bit deeper, to be honest, in home. In fact, I'm actually going to go a complete 180 with that. Yeah, home is the number 8, and Matt O'Reilly is the number 10.
Right, okay. I think I'd agree with the two of you. I'd love to see home get a start. Question about Turnbull starting with form. Obviously, you've got to talk about Europe as well on Tuesday, with who play in that game. But I'm going to go with home. I think Paulo Bernardo probably needs minutes in the game, because I think there's a really good chance he might start again in Europe, but we'll obviously see how things unfold at the weekend. On you go.
A bit of a weird one with Paulo Bernardo, because at this stage I don't think anyone would pay the 5-6 million to bring him in. No. I think I have been relatively impressed with him. Now I know there's a section of supporters online that want to see the back of him already. I'm like, I think he's been caught in the firing line of the Atletico Madrid result, when he was statistically Celtic's best outfield sort of presser on the ball. Obviously outfield press on the ball. You're not going to have Joe Hart pressing.
Well, I mean, it would have been by him, to be honest.
To be fair, he's better outside of the net rather than in the net. When you look at that Saul goal, we're
not talking about. We never talked about it then. We're not talking about it now. We're not talking about it.
Didn't have time.
We're trying to forget about it, right?
At the moment, I think Bernardo needs to do a wee bit more when he's given the opportunity. But I don't think he's done that much wrong. But he just needs to up a wee bit. He needs to show that Benfica quality.
He's just one of those players that I think it's difficult to really stand out, because I think that a lot of people have that same attachment, or want to have that same attachment as we did with our last Benfica loanee, but you've got to realise Bernardo's not a player who's going to be scoring goals every week or whatever, so it's hard to grab headlines, but I feel like quietly he's not done anything wrong. He's just a sort of meh player, like, he's just meh, like there's nothing great, nothing terrible, but we'll probably talk about him more.
He's not as exciting as home. He's not as exciting as Odin home on the ball,
Yeah.
and that's probably the reason why I've picked him for the team, because not due to his performance against Aberdeen, because I thought he didn't really take his opportunity that much. I know he had that chance that Kellerus saved, but I thought not that he hid in the game, but he didn't show everything that he was capable of doing. I'd like to see him get that second opportunity and get a chance against Motherwell, because I think he's the sort of player that can single-handedly run the show if given the opportunity.
Yeah. Right, front three, and then we'll wrap up this segment of the show. Calum, I'll pose the question to you. Do you think that Luis Palma will start tomorrow?
I keep humming and hawing it, but I think, yeah. I
Right.
think we need to go with him. I think I'd like to see him, Yang, and as my front three.
Oh, okay.
I'd go with the same.
Same front three. Obviously, we're still awaiting a further update, aren't we, on the status of Kyogo? As to whether
I think
or not
Brendan
he's-
Rodgers never mentioned it in his
Yeah.
press conference, so I'm guessing that he's fully recovered.
Yeah, but I think that's a smart front three, actually. I quite like that.
Actually,
I was not
do you know-
considering, though.
Do you know,
Eh.
I'm actually going to do a 180 on this one as well.
Oh, surprise.
Because Cilla Black, I know she's getting a wee bit of a hound on social media. Surprise. But yeah, always been on international duty. Kyogo wasn't. So maybe that'll come into Brendan Rodgers' thinking as well.
Maybe so.
But I'm
That's a good point.
okay with either or. I'm at that stage that I'm okay with either or. In terms of other wingers, it's got to be Palma and Yang for me. You know, the dynamic duo that seem to be on the wing. I want to see that reunion once again on either side, because they both did really well against Aberdeen, and you're thinking they could do similar against Motherwell if given the chance and opportunity.
Interesting. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Your score predictions then. Your score predictions. I'll start with you, Calum.
Basing it off Aberdeen result, 4-1.
Oh, we're conceding a goal. Okay, Ryan.
5-0.
5-0. God, I've stopped wanting to go for high scoring ones or a giver, so I'm going to say 2-0, because as much as I want to come out and say,
God, I hope not.
What's wrong with 2-0?
Come on.
What? It's a win.
I mean,
a win's a win.
I know a win is a win, but 2-0, it's a bit meh, isn't it?
You're such an entitled Ned. That's what you are.
I'm not. I prefer not to speak.
No, because the only reason I'm keeping it low is because against St Mirren, I was like, 4-0, and then we fucking won with our last gasp winner, basically. I was like, right, I'm not saying that again.
Yeah, I think Celtic will score goals in this game. I know that would be the case if it was 2-0, but I just think they'll inflict misery on a Motherwell side that are really struggling at the moment.
Right, okay. That's the match preview done. That's that segment of the show done. Before I go into your halftime quiz today, because you were talking about Cilla Black a minute ago, have any of you seen it? And this is the topic of the week, right? I'm bringing in a topic of the week. Have you been keeping up with the Cliff Richard drama?
Can't
No,
say drama.
well, I know there's a lot of drama with Cliff Richard, right? I know there's a, But have you not seen what he said on this morning? Like, yesterday morning? Oh my God.
The Elvis stuff.
I didn't want it. So, to briefly explain for people at home listening, and Calum, you've obviously not heard what's happened, right? So, they were talking to Cliff Richard on this morning, right? And they said, he was talking about how much he loved Elvis. And they went, did you ever get the chance to meet Elvis? And he says, no, I did. I had the opportunity one time, and I was meant to go and meet him and get my photograph with him, but I seen a photo of him and I seen that he was fat, and I said to myself, not getting a photo with him if he's fat. And then he died like a week later, and I'm like, he is honestly, the patter that has emerged from it is unbelievable. Everybody on the couch is just so, you can see Mad Alison Hammond, she's just trying her best not to break into laughter and just so awkward. I couldn't believe, imagine that. Imagine like, there's a chance to get a photo with, Neil Lennon. Oh no, he's too fat. No thanks. Don't want to be sitting beside him.
Why was it Neil Lennon that you brought up there?
I know.
I don't know. I just tried to keep.
You could have literally mentioned Brendan Rodgers, who did go through a weight loss campaign.
back on Zoom. So that means that any abuse has to go on. Right, it's time for the halftime quiz before we get carried away. And today we've got a new halftime quiz. It's not exactly unique. You'll know where it's from in a minute. However, Calum, you have pointed out the potential for this to go incredibly tits up. I mean, there is a good chance of it, isn't there?
I think most of the fact it's a brilliant in-person quiz. Zoom quiz, not so much.
And for that reason, I'm going to alter one of the main rules on it. So, we are going to be playing our version of Beat the Pundit. I don't know what we're going to call it, but we're going to play Beat the Pundit. If you aren't familiar with Clyde One Super Scoreboard's Beat the Pundit format, essentially, there is a list of questions. Inside 30 seconds, one of the players needs to try and answer as many of the questions as they can, and most importantly, get as many correct as they can. At that point, when the 30 seconds is up, we will bring the second player in who has no clue what the 10 questions are, and then they will have a chance to answer said questions. And they'll see if they can beat player one's score. It's pretty simple. If you don't understand me, you'll get it when you watch it. However, through Zoom, with connection issues, with audio issues, we're not going to do 30 seconds. We're going to do a minute, right? And if you manage to get up through all 10 questions, then great. We'll just see who gets more correct, ultimately, won't we? So, it's pretty straightforward. And it's now time to see who's going to be player one and who's going to be player two. Ryan McGinlay, you're still, I believe, top of the league table for the end of episode quizzes. So, I'm going to let you decide. Do you want to have a crack at the whip first, or do you want to go second?
I'll go first.
You're going first. Right, so at this point, Calum, I'm going to ask you to mute your PC, mute your mic, do whatever you can so you don't hear us, and then give me a good big thumbs up.
A new message me to come back in.
You probably could do that, actually. You probably could do that. That's a good idea. Right, farewell, Calum. Farewell. You will be back shortly. Right, McGinlay, are you familiar with what you have to do here?
Yep, I watch them every day on YouTube.
Right, okay then. So are you ready for your... I better get a clock, actually. That would probably be a good idea.
I'll answer all 10.
You think you'll get through all 10 in 1 minute?
Yeah.
With me reading them as well?
Yep, because
right,
you're quick. And you will be quick.
Right, okay. Are you ready then, Ryan McGinlay?
I am ready.
Right, your time starts now. Nick Montgomery joined Hibs from which Australian club?
Central Coast Mariners.
Which ex-Celtic player started in goal for the North of Ireland in their Euros qualifier versus Denmark?
Conor Hazard.
Who were the last team outside of Glasgow to win the Scottish Cup?
St Johnstone.
TNS are the second Welsh side to reach the SPFL Trust Trophy semi-finals. Who was the other team? Now, remember, you can say pass if you want to.
Connors Key.
Who scored more goals for Celtic, Scott McDonald or Anthony Stokes?
Stokes.
Who are currently top of Scottish League 2?
Oh my god. Dumbarton.
Which team are known as the Doon Hammers?
Oh, who are the Doon Hammers? Queen of the South.
Right, your time is up. Your 1 minute is up. You didn't make it through all 10 the way that you were so confident you would, McGinlay. So you've got to accept defeat there.
Can I just answer? Can I just answer the other ones?
Yeah,
Just give me the 10.
I'm just going to tell you what you got through though, for the sake of the quiz. You got through 7 questions, right? You got through 7 questions. So yeah, good stuff for you. This was the last 3 questions. Who currently plays at the Global Energy Stadium?
That is Ross County.
How many points do Aberdeen have in their Europa Conference League group?
2.
And finally, Robbie Nielsen has taken charge of a football club in which country?
USA, Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Right, okay, so we are only going to count the 7 that you got. I don't think Calum will get through more. Well, yeah, that's the rules of the game. That's the rules of the game. You can't meet the quota. You can't, it should only have been 30 seconds, really. Right, so you've got a potential of 7 right. I'm not going to reveal if you've got them right. I'm going to have to try and memorise your answers, but I'm quite good at stuff like that. So I'm going to go and tell Calum to join back. Are you happy with your performance, McGinlay?
Yeah, the Doonhammers one is annoying me because it's either that or Rafe Rovers. It's one of the two. It's a blue side. I know that for sure.
what I should really do while we wait on Calum is mark how many that you actually got right. Because I think you done pretty well. I think you done okay. But we'll get to it. You remember what you.
Yeah, I think my timing will be a curse here. My timing.
I think
on it.
I think you've done okay. But here is Callum Craig. Callum Craig, you don't know.
I'm going to turn into the Gordon Dieller, isn't I?
The
Dazzler.
Gordon T.
Absolutely arse, yeah.
Well,
Have you not seen the new persona that Gordon Diella's got when he does beat the pundit, the Dazzler, when he becomes the most
Dazzler.
arrogant guy ever?
The best one
That's
when he got
hilarious.
asked which other European country did Ange manage in at the point, and he answered with Japan. Phenomenal.
Well, don't do anything like that. Right, Callum. Quick reminder: you get 1 minute to try and get through as many as you can. Remember, if you want to move on, you can say pass, and we'll come back to the question at the end.
Say we came back, right?
Yeah. You know how to go about it. Will you get through all 10? We'll wait and see. Are you ready, Callum Craig?
As ready as I've ever been, mate.
Right, okay. Your time starts now. Nick Montgomery joined Hibs from which Australian club?
Pass.
Which ex-Celtic player started in goals for Northern Ireland in the Euros qualifier versus Denmark?
That game they played.
Yeah, I think so. Who were the last team outside of Glasgow to win the Scottish Cup?
Hibs.
TNS are the second Welsh side to reach the SPFL Trust Trophy semi-finals. Who was the other team?
Pass.
Who scored more goals for Celtic, Scott McDonald or Anthony Stokes?
Stokes.
Who are currently top of Scottish League 2?
Hamilton.
Which team are known as the Doon Hammers?
Pass.
Who currently plays at the Global Energy Stadium?
Global Energy. St Mirren? No, it's not. They're the SMRC.
Right, one last question. How many points do Aberdeen have in their Europa Conference League group?
2.
And then you would have had time. You made it for 9 out of the 10 there. So well done. You actually done better than McGinlay in that front because McGinlay got through 7. But we'll come to the answers in a moment. Calum, the final question would have been: Robbie Neilson has taken charge of a football club in which country?
It's over in America, and it's
Right.
their championship or something.
Right.
USNF or something like that.
Yeah.
USFL, I think it is.
It's something daft. Right, so we'll go through the answers and see what you have got between you. Are you ready for this? Right, question one, of course. Question one was, of course, Nick Montgomery joined Hibs from which Australian club? Calum, you passed in the answer. Ryan, what did you say?
Central Coast Mariners.
Which is correct. So it's 1-0 McGinlay. The second question was which ex-Celtic player started in goals for the North of Ireland in their last Euros qualifier versus Denmark? Both of you answered Connor Hazard, and both of you got it correct. So it's 2-1. This was the one you'll be kicking yourself about, Callum Craig, because you got this wrong. Who was the last team outside of Glasgow to win the Scottish Cup? McGinlay, you got it right. The answer...
It's nice to forget about the COVID season, but this actually happened.
St Johnstone, of course.
Just about COVID, Bill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just as good. That's a good thing. I should give you a point for that on its own, to be honest, forgetting about it. So,
Jesus Christ.
3-1 McGinlay, a hard way back because McGinlay did get question 4 right. Question 4 was another one you passed, Calum. I would never have had a clue. It was TNS, the second Welsh side, to reach the SPFL Trust Trophy semi-finals. Who was the other team? The answer, which you said, was Connors K. So, well done, McGinlay.
Is that the one Kelly played a couple of years ago?
Yeah, when they had Alessio.
Question 5, you've both got correct. Who scored more goals for Celtic, Scott McDonald or Anthony Stokes? Which the answer was Anthony Stokes.
He was there for longer, wasn't he?
I think so.
What my thinking method was, I thought he was there longer. Surely it must be him.
Aye, so
quite an underrated striker. Looking back on it.
McGinlay, so far, you've got 5 out of 5. So that's not a bad start.
You only managed 7 of the questions.
Aye, Calum's on 2 out of 5. Question 6. Who's Scott's top of League 2? Who's currently top of Scottish League 2? Calum said Hamilton. Ryan, you said... Who'd you say again? Dumbarton. The correct answer was Stennismuir.
Stenny.
Stennismuir are top of League 2. So that was your first one incorrect, Ryan. Still currently 5-2. Question 7, the last question McGinlay got to. The Doonhammers. You passed, Calum. McGinlay, you said...
Queen of the South.
Which is correct. It is Queen of the South. So we have got a winner, as we know by this point. 6 out of 7 for McGinlay. But that's as far as you could get. Question 8 and 9, Calum, you did get on to. Question 8, who currently plays at the Global Energy Stadium? You said St Mirren. You fumbled though, because you knew yourself that it wasn't right, didn't you? The correct answer...
I know it wasn't it.
The correct answer, Ryan, you did get it when I asked you afterwards.
Ross County was there a couple of weeks ago.
Ross County is correct. And finally, the last question that Calum got to, you did get right, Calum. How many points did Aberdeen have in their Europa League conference group? It was 2, with draws against HJK and PAOK. And finally, last question, which none of you officially answered, but both of you did answer correct off the books. Robbie Nielsen has taken charge of a club in the US of A with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So,
I take it for
following in the footsteps of Tom Brady.
What'd you say, Calum?
I says, can I take it the consolation point?
You can, mate. Do you know what? If we take into consideration all 10, then McGinlay, you would have finished with 6 out of 7 there. Then you got 7. You would have got 9 out of 10, which is not a bad effort. Calum, you would have got 1, 2, 4 out of 10. So it's not the worst. I mean, you hear people.
We're in for this one.
I mean, you get people on it that get 0 and 1, so 4's not bad, and especially when you've got like a minute to answer and you've just got to say the first thing that comes to your head. It's tougher than it sounds, really. But well done, lads. A cracking effort in the half-time quiz, which means we can move on to our last couple of bits of conversation before we get to the Q&A and the end of episode quiz. The Celtic AGM was yesterday. Not much happening at it. To be perfectly blunt, I thought it was a rather pointless AGM, just the same rinse and repeat answers that we get every year. But Calum, one of the main topics of conversation was the fact that the Green Brigade are still out of the stadium. That doesn't look as though it's going to be resolved anytime soon. You've not been on since the whole palaver with the Green Brigade and stadium bans and all the rest of it. Have you got any thoughts on the situation and any of the updates from yesterday's AGM?
We sort of obviously try to keep myself up to date with oustanding and that, and sort of as we were speaking about it back and forth, we were saying it's like you wonder if it's a case of obviously the talks between the group and the board are still ongoing, but would be a case of say we go over to Rome, you take a result, and then that run into Christmas, you've got Feyenoord, and then play Rangers at home at the end to try and sort of get a resolution in place for a big sort of push towards the new year. But I mean, it's a bit of a messy situation. Could have been dealt with better, yes, but I think it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, McGinlay, it doesn't look promising. However, the North Curve Celtic supporters group did announce today that they plan on welcoming the side to Celtic Park on Saturday. A step in the right direction, maybe, potentially.
Yeah, wasn't Saturday supposed to be like or tomorrow by the
a day of action or something?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a day of action. Does that maybe suggest that there is some motions happening in the background towards a return? I just think all the adults need to get in a room together, from both sides or all sides that are involved with this, and just get this sorted out, because it can't directly affect what is happening on the pitch, because it could do. It could do eventually if the atmosphere isn't maintained. Now I know that other fans can take it upon themselves to generate that atmosphere. Not all these other fans have a drum with them and a megaphone that can stimulate that sort of atmosphere and generate that sort of atmosphere. So it is difficult. I hope that it all gets resolved. The things that need to be resolved do get resolved, and we're back to the way it was, because there is no denying that the Green Brigade bring the atmosphere, they bring the noise. Don't necessarily agree with absolutely everything that's happened with regard to the Green Brigade, but one thing, when you take it at face value, they are the atmosphere. The boys are the atmosphere as well. We need them both back. We need everybody singing from the same hymn sheet. And if that is the case, then Celtic Park will be all the better for it.
A couple of other things happened at the AGM, nothing too spectacular. I'll open the floor. Any thoughts towards the Celtic AGM, or just a couple of housekeeping issues to go through after that, really. So just take your time.
For me, and this is something that irks me quite a bit, there was about 3 or 4 mentions of Rangers in the
Oh, I
AGM
know.
for whatever
I know.
reason. Just focus on yourself. I made this point in my Celtic Way video yesterday with Tony. There is so much positivity going on with Celtic at the moment. You look at the record financials, you look at the team that's currently playing on the pitch, you get an elite level manager that's back at the club. Why do Celtic need to put out petty digs towards Rangers? There's no point. It's just so boring. The penalty to Rangers, I'd expect better from a CEO than to come
Yep.
out with
100%.
silly. You'd expect that from somebody in the stadium, not somebody in the boardroom. It's not a good look, and I wasn't a fan of it, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm looking for professionalism throughout the club. That's what they get paid top dollar for, and it's comments like that are a bit boring. And Peter Lawwell, he's got history with making comments like this at AGMs and the like. So yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I wish it was a wee bit more professional, to be perfectly honest with you.
You stole everything out of my mouth that I wanted to say. It's like you almost. But I know you said you made your own video yesterday, but you've just echoed everything I said in my video yesterday as well. I think
I didn't even watch that video.
Well, yeah, we're on the same page. You've stole the words out of my mouth. My question to Calum was going to be, it's okay as fans to have a dig at Rangers. I'm not saying it's one rule for one and one rule for the other, but as football fans, when you're at the game, you're playing Rangers, you've had a drink, you obviously make digs towards the team that is your biggest rivals. You want to be the one that's on the upper hand, and you will jibe at them. You will say whatever you can. But at a professional level, in a boardroom where you're discussing the future of Celtic Football Club and the matters that most affect us, the biggest at Celtic Football Club, and then you're taking wee digs like penalty to Rangers. I know it's a bit of a laugh, and the Daz will love it, you know what I mean? But I just feel like it's something that Celtic now for so long have used as the measuring stick for our success. As long as we're doing better than Rangers, and as long as the board feel like they can have a little bit of a dig at Rangers, then they'll go on and they'll use that as their measuring tool for success, Calum. When us as Celtic fans are eagerly waiting to hear something at the AGM that will spell future success and expansion for Celtic, but yeah, it's digs like that we get instead.
You feel like when you're getting sort of those bits sort of chucked around the penalty and such, you feel like that's what you want the Green Brigade to sort of make their digs at. Have your stuff with that and leave that to the fan side of it. As McGinlay touched on, you don't want that to come from your CEOs and such. It is very petty in the sense you think you're there to discuss Celtic, and it should be how we can further and better the club, how we can then progress. Just to then be stuck on those kind of comments as a very childlike, in a sense, I'd say it feels.
Do you know what really winds me up? And I didn't bring this up in my video yesterday, because I don't want to feel like there's always a certain select people that pop up in comment sections and on social media that think that when I say things like this, I aim it at them. I don't aim it at them. But when something happens with the Green Brigade, they get dubbed wee guys, unprofessional, yada yada. You see this, and this isn't me using the point. I'm not trying to pure side with the Green Brigade or bum anybody up or anything like that. But this is the point I'm trying to make here. People think that the Celtic board are flawless in their decision making. They've run the club well as a business. That the sun shines at the board's arses, and that the Green Brigade and fans are the ones that have something wrong. When you look at some of the statements that Celtic fans, the Green Brigade, I should say, put out, you'd think that those are the guys that have a boardroom and a sense of professionalism compared to some of the statements you hear at these AGMs. Wee digs like that compared to some of the statements put out. And it just annoys me because as people just think that the board can't do anything wrong at all, and they will back them till the day that they're gone. It irks me.
Yeah, I think there was somebody said that the Green Brigade were divisive and they should be permanently banned from Celtic Park. If you're looking for divisive figures or divisive entities, then look no further of the chairman at Celtic Football Club, one of the most divisive people in Celtic's modern history, and Peter Lawwell.
It's polarised, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, everyone can have their own opinion on the Green Brigade, but I certainly don't think anybody is in any good position to call for the banning of season tickets of hard-working fans, people that will have work outside of their job at the weekend with regard to the Green Brigade and getting tifos arranged, getting new members sorted, their charity work, their countless charity work, the food bank drives that they take part in. So I don't think anybody's in a good place to call for the banning of you know, at the end of the day, similar people and Celtic fans, you know, they might have different views with certain elements, but they've got the same opinion that they want Celtic to do well on the pitch. So I don't think anyone's in a really good position to be calling for the banning of certain people, to be honest with you. Unless there was something that they did that was so awful that they deserve a ban, a complete ban. And, you know, although there has been some incidents that, you know, have been quite divisive for the popularity of the group, I don't think there's anything that would call for a permanent ban, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, you've summed it up well, Ryan. Poetry, son, poetry. And listen, as always, it's a podcast with our opinions. Everybody is subject to their own opinion. We're not telling you what to think. We're not telling you should or shouldn't like.
Trust me, there has been some other opinions this week that have been very much aired on podcasts.
Aye, there's been lots thrown out there. Do you know what? People will maybe notice. It's not like I'm saying that you have to pay attention to what I'm doing. I couldn't care less. But follow me, don't follow me, I could not care. I've took a right step back from social media. I can't even be bothered. I've not tweeted in a good while now. I just cannot be bothered with the thought of it. It's just exhausting at the minute being on social media, and you're better off without it. So I'm not telling you what to who to like, who not to like. Be on the board side, be in the Green Brigade side, do what you want. This is a platform for our opinions. We air our opinions. I feel like we do it quite well. So talking about opinions, let's move on to a couple quick housekeeping points before we finally move on to the last couple of segments. Brendan Rodgers did mention at the AGM and in his press conference, Calum, that he plans on trimming the squad down in January, and he plans on signing players in January. We should expect movement. We will touch on this in a much grander scale as we get towards January. We'll talk about this for probably half an hour on an episode. But what are your initial thoughts, Calum, on Rodgers' comments? How high are your expectations for January? On you go.
I think it's actually quite nice to hear him. Obviously, he has then basically said, these are the players that I need, these are the players I don't need. See what we can get done with them, get them loaned out, perfect, get sold, get funds into the club, even better. I think it is nice. He also does have ideas. He obviously will know better than us, sees the players every day, take us to where it actually needs improvement. I think so. We touched on it very briefly in the Celtic chat, and then we're basically saying with the youth sort of players coming through in that. We've touched on the likes of Rocco Vatan, such will we get another sort of young right winger through. We've touched on. I'm very happy with Yang in the current moment in time, but do you then get somebody in with a bit more experience? Obviously, provided if you were still in Europe, that'd be a main driving point. But just need to wait and see.
Yeah, and Ryan, as we know, the squad, I seen a very good tweet today, and it was obviously I brought up the Elvis and Cliff Richard situation. I seen somebody tweet today, I can't remember who it was to give credit, so sorry for stealing your pattern if you're somehow watching this, but it was a great tweet. Someone said that Brendan Rodgers refused to get a photo with the Celtic squad because it was looking bloated, which I thought was quite funny. So it's nice to hear that, though, that there is plans, because we know there's too many players in this team and too many that aren't good enough, Ryan. So work needs to be done. We're addressing that, it seems. That's a positive.
I think he said that the number of players, senior players currently at the club is 32, which is far too much for it's far too much when you consider all the players that are out on loan as well. So I'm sure that number probably has those players as sort of senior players that are away out on loan too. So the squad does need trimmed down. There's some players that just will not get game time, and there is no point in them being there. Amazingly, Celtic have still got James McCarthy still on their
on the books.
Still on the books. They've got players that haven't even made their professional debut yet for the club, in Quan and Marco Tillio as well. I'd like to see something of Marco Tillio. He's had a couple of appearances for Australia's under-23s, so maybe a bench appearance at the weekend would be absolutely brilliant. That's if he's ready to go. Felt like it took forever for Daniel Arzani to get a game, and then he did his ACL in his first game. So you're hoping that the lightning doesn't strike twice in that regard. And there's so many other players that just aren't contributing to the team. I think the defence is a bit of a problem as well, but not in a bad way, because there's so many bodies there that it's the deepest in terms of depth that the defence has had ever since I can remember, to be honest with you, in terms of capable defenders that can come in. You've got Scales, who is who's been the surprise of the past couple of years, not even just this year. I would say in the past 3-4 years with his emergence into the first team. But then you've got Carter Vickers, who plays alongside him. You've got Nawrocki, you've got Lagerbielke, you've got Welsh that's back from injury. You've got Kobayashi, who'll probably go out on loan or permanently. You've got Nat Phillips, and you've got Iwata that can play there as well. That is far too many bodies for a position that Celtic don't play free at the back. You know, they don't need that amount of players available for selection. So I think maybe one or two of them might move on as well. Who that'll be, it's a bit of a confusing one, especially down to the fact that Stephen Welsh signed a new 4-year deal. So, you know, he'll be on a good contract as well. That was before he got injured and before Liam Scales made that emergence into the first team. Lagerbielke needs games. Nawrocki needs games when he comes back from injury. So, yeah, the squad is in a very bloated place and it needs to be sorted.
Yeah, well put. We'll wrap it up there for the general speaking portion of the podcast. I know that we've not talked about Europe, but listen, there's still a few days to Europe. There'll probably be a couple of questions in the Q&A about Europe anyway. Plus, we'd probably be here all night if we even started talking about the importance of the Lazio game. So don't worry, I'll be on the channel. Obviously, you've got McGinlay on the Celtic Way as well, where I'm sure you'll be talking about a lot in the coming days. And then you've got Calum on Twitter as well, if he decides to tweet any thoughts about the
Celtic open past my time.
Exactly. If you want to hear Calum's thoughts, go straight to the man in the Sellik.
Calum's podcast about Odenholm.
Yeah, you've got Green Friday on tomorrow, or Build the Day when it comes up. Get yourselves in.
You should be getting a wage rise for this, by the way. That's promotion. They should be giving you a bit of money for that.
Next year's Christmas advert.
You know what? So you said, let's talk about the Christmas advert very quickly. You said that somebody in the advert didn't actually work for Sellik or something.
As far as I'm aware, I have never seen the person in my full time at Celtic. Lainey, who is the one at the end with the wee skip with the book, is phenomenal. She's a manager in the Superstar.
They better get you on it. You've got a recognisable face and you work for
I
the
would
club.
love that more. I would love it to hate it.
Do you know, there was actually grown adults talking about how they didn't like the Christmas advert. I'm like, bro, really? It's not for you. It's not aimed for you. It's got Kyogo front and centre. He is the unofficial mascot of Celtic. You know, Wayne's love Kyogo. The more Kyogo, the better. We got our bit at the end with Brendan Rodgers with the book, which was worth was worth the price of admission or the ad that you watched on YouTube for it to come up. But yeah, it was well worth it. You know, I didn't even know about that because, you know, I had the screen recorder ready for anything funny that came across. As soon as I seen it,
you capitalise on anything, didn't you?
Ultimate, what is it? The ultimate opportunist? Is that Randy Orton or
Orton. No,
Edge?
That's Edge. Aye, Orton's the apex predator.
Yeah, that's it. I'd much rather be called the ultimate opportunist than the apex predator.
No, we'll just stick to the predator for you, son. That'll do.
Don't be disrespectful.
I'm joking. Right, let's get into the Q&A before things get heated, shall we? Let's get into... Sorry, I seen an opportunity and I had to take it. Listen, I've been called worse, so don't worry about it. We put out the tweet this morning about the podcast being back. It was met with a great applause. Sadly, we had to let down Liam McPhee, who was really excited to see Kieran's wee set up in the loft back, and then I sadly let him down, telling him that Kieran wouldn't be on the show this week. So hopefully we'll have all four of us for episode 100, because that would be a nice wee celebration of things. So don't worry, you'll get your fill of Kieran soon, Liam. Let's see. Somebody said, Dougie says, who are the very harsh C word who keeps pinching the studio? Set about them, boys. G4 will cover it. I know. I want to know who it is. Eyes are on them.
I'm not going to mess with Paul Craig.
Imagine it was Paul Craig. Like, okay. Did he win?
No, he didn't. No. Third round submission loss.
It was a very unfortunate fight for him.
That's a shame. I was going to say something. Did you see the sad news, by the way? Some really sad news. The world of darts is shaking. Russ Bray's retiring.
I thought you were going to say he died.
No, he's retiring.
He has been pat. No, there's a couple of times where he's got his counting terribly wrong. Yeah, we're getting to that. We're getting to the festive period, which can mean a couple of things. You know, like Yeah, well, it's darts is back. You know, I'm buzzing for that. I know there's another darts question.
I was about to say, well, it's hardly back when it's on all year round, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Proper darts.
The proper darts. Right, let's get to the actual questions. Very quick fire so we can get the quiz done and up the road, even though we're not up the road. Cal says, pick 2 wingers, and he's given a list. He's given us Jota, Maida, Palma, Abada, Yang, and Haxa. So there's your choice. And this is to test me, and that's the reason he's put Haxa in there, to see if I go with him. I'm just going to go out right now, get my 2 done. Give me Palma on the left and Jota on the right. Thank you. Good night.
Yep, we'll take that. I'm exactly the same.
Yep, I'd third in on that.
Right, it's a pretty filthy. That was interesting. Did you see that at the AGM that Rodgers said that he'll ask Michael Nicholson about a potential loan move?
That's how much a percentage of that wage can we actually offer to pay?
I know.
There's no
Hopefully they cover
point
the whole
as
thing.
well. I don't think there's much point, especially if Celtic are out in Europe. Would they just be coming back to the league in the Scottish Cup?
Yeah.
If that is the case, then I would much rather Celtic develop Yang and potentially Tilio, and then Abada will be coming back as well. Maida, it could present more problems than positives. I know Jota being back would be absolutely brilliant, but if there's no option to buy on his deal, then I don't really see the point in terms of long term for Celtic.
Kevin says, since it's Zoom/COVID times throwback, who's better, John Joe Kenny or Shane Duffy?
I think I'd actually like to throw my own hat into the ring and say myself. I think I'd
After your shift at 5s the other night, I'd agree.
apologies. Hope your ankle's better, mate.
Oh, no, it's fine. I was giving you a compliment, by the way, on your shift. I thought you played well. I was in the other team, obviously, but it's fine. The foot's fine.
But I don't know, it's just a horror question, innit? But
Aye. I'd actually painfully have to say Duffy, looking at both of their careers since. I think Duffy's done marginally better than... Because remember, Duffy had that wee kind of rejuvenation at Brighton, like, straight away, and he scored, like, 3 weeks in a row, and he played quite well. He was getting man of the match.
That sounds like his Celtic career. He scored 3 weeks in a row in his first couple of games.
But I'd go Duffy. But what do I really think about it?
I think it's
No, I'd go as Kenny by default because
Kenny?
Duffy was that bad. Yeah, I still remember. You see this unbeaten run at home that Celtic have got. You have to actually go back to the last time that they were beaten, and that was against St Mirren when Duffy bounced off that guy that's about 5'9". Do you remember that, or was it? Who was it? Dennis, not Emmanuel Dennis. He plays for Nottingham Forest, but another player called Dennis. It's I think that was one of the. Remember that video with the clown music?
Clown
I think
music.
it's still it's not funny, but it is.
Right, let's rapid fire them so we can get on to the quiz. We have Anthony Devine as always saying who would win a Celtic manager's Hunger Games. I'd go Martin O'Neill. I think the wee man wins.
Gordon Strachan for me.
Oh, Stratton, okay. Right.
John 10 games Kennedy. I think he's indestructible. You can't beat him.
True.
He'll always be there.
Dylan
But then
Murdoch.
again, Gavin Strachan can be involved in that because he managed 2 games.
Aye, true,
He managed those 2 games.
Aye. Gavin then. Right, Dylan, our good friend Dylan from Uni, his favourite Derby goal. God, we usually get that at Derby time. It takes a long time to think about that one. There's a lot of good Derby goals, but mine's is always Nakamura against Rangers. That's my favourite ever. Always will be. It's up there.
Jota, the chip.
Jota. Chip.
I think keep in theme with the chip and the pictures above me for the 6-2 game. Larson's chip.
Good shout.
Cracker.
Oh,
I think Barry Robson's penalty's up there as well. Though, in terms
Aye,
of magnitude.
that's true. That's true. Adalad says weirdest interaction you've had with a Celtic player. I don't think I've had any weird interactions. Do you know what? I'm just going to go for the entirety of Aaron Moy's welcome press conference. That's mine. Thank you very much.
Painful.
No disrespect, Aaron. Love you. Hope you're enjoying retirement. But God Almighty.
I met Victor Wanyama and Rabiu Ibrahim outside the body shop in Glasgow. So I got pictures with both of them. I didn't ask Ibrahim to get a picture of me and Wanyama. I know who Ibrahim was as well, so I got them both.
You've obviously had a... Sorry, on you go. Keep going.
No, it's probably better off if I don't.
Oh, okay, right, that's fine. You've obviously had a few Calum now interactions with Celtic players, but have any been weird or awkward or anything?
I think, funnily enough, my weirdest one comes in a time with McGinlay when we met the players after the League Cup final, and it was James Forrest. Funnily enough, we'd said, "Oh, James, any chance of a 40?" And he went, "Oh, we'll get one tomorrow." So as if he's going to come to take a 40 base. I was like, "It's all right, James."
I was waiting outside George Square for about 12 hours. I took his word for that.
You're down there to it next morning.
It's like the Daz went out for the milk. He's coming back, guys. He's coming back.
That has to be up there for it. The fact I will get one tomorrow, as if he knows us personally. I'm like, okay.
We met loads of players that night. That was like a conveyor belt of Celtic players. Honestly, Jota told us to drive home safe. I was like, Jota, mate, you've just won the League Cup. I never said this to him. We've just won the League Cup. There is no way I'm driving tonight.
Right,
he was brilliant.
Aye, it has to be that.
Who's winning the Darts World Championship? Viva Gary Anderson, says Nathan. I tell you, last year I got it right. Last year. I predicted from the very start of the tournament. Could I go with the same answer this year? Probably, nah. I don't know. Who are you saying this year?
Luke Humphries.
Okay. You got a pick, Cal?
Luke Humphries, especially the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's been absolutely tremendous. But it's one of those ones that if Van Gerwen plays to the top of his ability,
so I was going to say
can
Van
be up
Gerwen.
and down. If Van Gerwen plays at his top level, nobody can get near him. It's just if he drops it a bit, then it becomes a bit more of a challenge.
Because last year I did say Big Bully Boy, and I was confident for the start. I just had a feeling that he was going to win it. I was like, he's going to do it, and then he got all the way. I was like, oh right, let's hope. I should have put a kitten on it or something. But I was going to say Van Gerwen this year because I've got the same gut feeling telling me he's going to win it. But the amount of times you've seen him just bottle random games because he's been absolutely shit, I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to go with Van Gerwen though.
Do you know what age Van Gerwen is?
Oh, I don't know. 53.
34.
Oh my god! I don't know why I said 53.
That's how young he was when he got into
He looked quite different as well when he debuted, didn't he? Like he looked.
Have you seen him with hair?
Aye,
it doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right. Right, fucking hell. We've actually got a lot of questions today. I feel bad skipping through any. If you've asked any, sorry for skipping it. Max has asked for your Pepe's order, but I don't like Pepe's, so I don't have a Pepe's order.
There's one in Coatbridge and I've never been.
I'm not a fan of it. Cam, do you like Pepe's?
Nah, I think I usually stick to the Black Rooster if I'm getting
Same. Sorry we've let you down there. What do you mean? Super Tonic Tom Roggett says, what do you make of Rodgers' comments about no more project players, and do you believe it? Because isn't Celtic just a modern day stepping stone? E.g. Rio was a project player that just smashed it. It's one that takes a lot of depth of an answer, doesn't it?
The point that I would make is that most players that Celtic sign are going to be projects because they'll go on to better things. I think it's more about how much you spend on those said projects. You look at players like Fabian Reeder that were linked to Ardon Jashari, was also linked to the club. If you can bring in players like that are maybe worth a bit more, then if you speculate to accumulate, then you'll get more when you sell them on because they're already a quality level of player. You want players that are young that can come in and make a difference in Europe, much like what Salzburg do. You know, they've got young players that can do the business in Europe, but they can still sell them on for X amount in a couple of years' time. So it's all about finding that balance, I think.
And final question, because there is a couple of Celtic questions here. Sorry for skipping it. We are on an hour and 2 minutes though, so I want to get this quiz done for a lot longer than I thought we'd talk today. Sean says, and we're giving him life advice here, lads. He's asked, should I go down now and work in Dublin for €25 an hour? By the way, €25 an hour. That's So he's asked, should I go and work in Dublin for €25 an hour, or go to university and get a degree in sports science and do physiotherapy after it? I have no clue what I should do with my life. I feel like we're like one of those hotline podcasts now, and people come in with their life problems. We're not the qualified experts, by the way. No. What I would say is, I don't know what age you are, Sean. Don't overthink it. It's not the end of the world. If you don't go to university now, it's not the end all be all. If you want to go and work for €25 an hour, bank some cash, feel free and do it. You can go to uni when you want. But just really follow what you think's what's right for you. That'd be my advice, anyway.
Yeah, that €25 job might not always be there, but the opportunity to go back to uni is there. As Ryan and myself know, we went to uni later on, and I sort of, well, not later on, well, yeah, later on, well, for me more so, because I was a bit older when I went to uni, but universities are always going to be there. Certain jobs might not always be there. Just go with your gut, really.
I mean, Calum, you've been from job to job. You've done the rounds. You know what it's like.
I mean, you'll find a job, you could go to it, might not be for yourself, the exact same with uni. Might go, think you fancy it, might not be for yourself. If you're still, obviously, as I said, we don't really know the age, but if you're still at a young age, there's no point in feeling like you've got that much pressure and you need to do one thing over the other.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
I've always said to myself, if I could go back and like talk to like the school, talk to like my year at school, as in like when we were at school, if I was like a speaker, I hated the idea that the school, like big Jerry Lyons, good teacher and all that, respect for the guy, but they always used to push down your throat that university was like the end all be all. You need to go to uni, like that's it, and if you don't go to uni, that was the idea that got shoved in your throat. And funnily enough, I fell for it. I was like, oh my god, I need to go to uni, and I dropped out of uni when I first went. I dropped out after 6 months, and it wasn't the end of the world. So aye, just don't pressure yourself, Sean. That's our final bit of advice, I'd say. We're right, lads. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing Jerry Lyons achieved was getting blazers in fashion. That was it, mate.
I wonder if he watches this podcast. He's a Sellik.
I would love nothing more if he did.
Jerry, we salute you. Right, let's move on then to the final part of the show. Very quick fire it through to end it off. It is our end of episode. If you know your history quiz, which today will be hosted by Ryan McGinlay. So Ryan, take it away.
No bother, I just need to get the right quiz. I realise that Kieran and I only really speak when a quiz comes through, so I just need to go through them. Right, okay.
What when he sees this,
Oh,
he
wow.
did reply to my message about what size of trainer it was he was after. Ask me from that day, get a response. Hopefully this.
Is this the new Sellik Gazelles?
It is indeed, aye. He asked me to keep my pair aside as he's not back until Christmas Eve. I was like, that should be fine, mate, but I don't know which size he needs. So.
If I was to take a guess, I'd say 4.5. There's my guess.
4.5.
Yes, 4.5. As a cheat, I shouldn't even. He's quite a tall boy, Kieran. You know what I mean? Like he's quite a big lad. But aye. Anyway, Ryan, take it away.
So the full-time quiz is on Scotland in the Euro 2024 qualifying campaign.
That reminds me, by the way, Kieran did have a question for us about the Euros, and it was like who was on the plane, but we're not doing that today. 25 players, no thanks. No going through that today. Sorry, Kieran.
That's a good one today, closer to the time.
Aye, definitely. Right, McGinlay.
So since Calum lost the quiz, I'm going to ask him if he wants to be player A or player B.
I can take player B.
Player B. So Ryan, you are up first.
Okay.
So including the upcoming edition.
Hold on. My dad wanted to tell me he's gone for a shower, so that
Love that.
to this. Right, once again, McGinlay, take it away.
Right. Before I was so rudely interrupted, kidding on, I would never say that about Stevie. I love him to bits. Including the upcoming edition, how many times have Scotland qualified for the European Championships?
Oh, that's a mince question, that. I mean, how am I meant to know that? I'm going to do a random number. I'm going 6.
The correct answer was 4.
For
So that was 1992 in Sweden, 1996 in England, 2020 at Hampden/Wembley, and 2024
When
in
did the
Germany.
European Championship start?
Not sure.
Because so they never made it before the 1990s?
Looks like it.
Wow, okay. Right, just move on. I don't care.
Player B to go 1-0 in front. How many points did Scotland finish the qualifying campaign with?
Yeah, dirty so that's a brilliant question.
Oh. I think I have an answer, but I think it's wrong.
I'm trying to think of the results in my head. More than anything.
You know me, I don't bother about international football, so I would never get it.
Neither. That's why I'm trying to think it more than anything. Actually, I cannot amass a guess here. 13.
That's what I was going to say.
Correct answer 17.
Oh,
That's,
wow,
that's
we're both.
massively underestimated as
Ah, you know, I was going to say 13 as well. Wow.
This is not a quiz for you, Ryan. This is not a quiz for you.
Oh,
Nothing each.
great.
This is nothing each. Going into question 2, Ryan. How many points did Scotland get away from home in the qualifying campaign?
Well, they beat Norway, which is 3 points. I can't even remember who's in the group now. They beat Norway, which is 3. They lost to Spain. They drew with Georgia, didn't they? So that's 4. And then I can't remember the other 2 teams in the group. So I'm just going to go for a lovely... I'm stuck between 7 or 8, and I'm going to go with 7.
Correct answer, 1-0.
Yes.
Ryan, you were talking about the other 2 teams. You can't think of the other 2 teams in the group. One of them is Scotland.
Oh, yes,
You know,
of
I
course.
guess-
Naturally.
The other one was Cyprus. They get 3 points in Cyprus
That's
as well.
right, that's
That was the
right.
one that effectively booked their place. In,
Well, I'm glad I
next
went with
year's
7
tournament.
and not 8 then. Thank God.
Yeah. Player B, Calum, to equalise. How many goals did Scotland concede overall in the qualifying campaign?
Concede. Oh.
This is a TSF quiz,
I was
not
going to say a TSF brief for the third one.
Buick would be loving this, the new.
I think TSF will come back now that we've qualified for
probably.
this.
Probably not. Let's be real. Let's be real.
He's doing that, right?
I know I enjoy it as well, but let's be real, like, you know.
I'll just repeat the question. How many goals did Scotland concede overall in the qualifying campaign?
I've got a guess.
Start between 6 or 7. Go copy Ryan's meth and go low. 6.
Correct answer is 8.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
You'd
going
have
to
been wrong either way.
I was
2
gonna
to
say
Spain,
9.
2 to Spain, 2 to Georgia, and 4 to Norway.
Oh,
So,
yes, of course.
To go 2-0 in front, Ryan, here. How many different Scottish goal scorers did we have in the qualifying campaign?
4. No, that's a stupid... No, I'm taking that back. It can't be 4. It can't...
Quick fire. You've chucked out now.
Fuck,
Listen,
4.
listen, what
Come on,
difference does
Landon, beat the
what difference
pundit.
does it make, Calum? Calum, what
Right,
difference?
right, 4.
Just
Just take it.
give me-
I'll stick... You know what? I would date to use if I was the host. I said 4. 4 it is. I just rushed.
So if you would have said 4 the first time and 4 the second time, you would have got the right answer. The correct answer is 8.
Oh,
With
right.
Dykes.
I thought you were going to say it was 4. I was like, what?
No,
What was that? Sorry.
Listen, it's a
8,
roller
okay.
coaster of emotions when I'm hosting.
Fucking
these.
hell. You'd think it was Juan McTominay scoring on him, for fuck's sake.
Shows how much you watch international. London Dykes, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay, John McGinn, Cal McGregor, Stuart Armstrong,
good
Ryan
for them.
Porteous, and Lawrence
great,
Shanklin.
great for Scotland. Oh wow, great for Scotland. I love that video, David.
You get your tricolour away.
Right, go on.
So this is to equalise, Calum. Scotland played in Glasgow, Seville, Oslo, Larnaca, and which other city during this qualifying campaign?
Right, sweet. So can you go through them
So
again?
Glasgow, Seville, Oslo, Larnaca, and which other city?
Oh, good luck.
Right, so who's our team in the group?
Is it no? I don't even care. I'm helping you here because I wouldn't get it anyway. Is it no Georgia?
Right, it is Georgia. Well, Jesus.
I'm quite good at geography, but I honestly
you not know
one of the countries I don't know the capital of. I'll know when you say it, but I couldn't think off the top of my head.
Not got a fucking Scooby.
I'm glad you said capital because I nearly gave away the answer.
Nah, that genuinely couldn't even hazard, I guess. Just pass it.
Tbilisi in Georgia.
Never
which
in a million
is-
years.
Yeah, I'm for
Wow.
Sunday. They wouldn't
Where's
go
Jai Gray? Where's Jai Gray when you need him?
Oh, he'll
See,
be
to be
fucking
fair,
Oh, I go.
See, to be fair, like when we were playing, well, my age and your age, when we were playing Ultimate Team, there was never any Georgians that you would sign. Nowadays, people will know because of Kvaratskhelia and that goalkeeper as well. But yeah, Tbilisi in Georgia. So Ryan, to extend your lead.
What an
and
awful
to get a
awful
display
of
Probably the
what an
worst
awful
football
display.
Here's a question that you'll like. Here's a better one.
Right,
Here is a better one,
okay,
a more Celtic
right.
oriented one.
Nice.
How many Celtic players have been called up during this qualifying campaign?
Oh, see, this is annoying because it's during the whole campaign, which has been going on for fucking yonks, and I can't remember who's been in every squad. Right? Obviously, McGregor and Taylor are the obvious two. I don't know if Ralston's been in or out. I couldn't tell you for the life of me. But I'm just going to go for, I mean, who else? David Turnbull? No, I don't even think Turnbull's been getting a call up, has he? I'm going to play it safe and go with 3.
2-0 Ryan Fitzsimons. You are
Thank you.
absolutely correct. McGregor, Taylor and Ralston. Turnbull was called up, I think, last in maybe 2021 or something like that. Or maybe he was called up, but he didn't play, or he didn't get called up for any of the Euro groups or the Euro qualifying. Calum, we need to get you on the board here. We need to get you going here. Scotland are in pot 3 alongside which former European champion?
Fuck, Jai sent the fucking pots in the other day as well.
I didn't see it, so I have no clue.
Because they were talking about the fucking dream group and the worst group.
Mm-hmm.
You need this to stay in the game.
Fucking tell me about it, mate. Because pot 2 was an absolute stinker, I know that.
Do you want me to just read out the question again? Scotland are in pot 3 alongside which former European champion? So a team that's won the European Championships.
I'm trying
pot
to
3.
in the group. They're in France. Holland.
What an answer! Correct. The Netherlands.
Fair play.
I know, obviously, I think the main news is that Italy are in pot 4 of that.
I knew they were pot 4.
I would have said Germany. I wouldn't have a clue.
They're pot 1 because they're the hosts.
Pot 1,
of course, that's right.
So Czechoslovakia did win in 1976, but since this was not as an independent nation, Czechia and Slovakia are not accepted answers. Fair enough.
Well, I'd like to imagine so, considering Czechoslovakia doesn't fucking exist.
Love that. Thank you, Atlas. Question number 5.
Thanks.
Ryan, to win the game to cement your place, who scored? Might as well move on to Calum's question here. To be honest, there is no way in hell. If you get this, I'll give. As Les Dennis says, if it's up there, I'll give you the money myself. Who scored Spain's second goal for Scotland?
I watched the game. No, the first. Morata scored one of them, didn't he? Morata, I'm sure, scored one of them, but I could not tell you for the life of me who scored the second. Because it was 2-0, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Because it was one. Did they not have that disallowed goal that would have made it 1-0 to Scotland, and it was 2 quick-fire goals from Spain. It didn't really feel like a 2-0 game.
I don't know. Ansu Fati.
Nope. Have you even heard of this guy? He plays for Athletic Bilbao. Olehan Sanchez.
Never heard of her.
I think he's an attacking midfielder.
Who the fuck is that?
Olehan Sanchez. He plays for Athletic Bilbao.
What would you have done if I got that? Oof.
I did.
I'd have done a Ronnie Dial down to my scants, you know. that answer it anyway.
Well, that's just massive for Calum, though.
Yep, absolutely. Player B to force a tie-break question. Who was the overall top scorer in the qualifying campaign group after Scott McTominay?
Oh, so like the full group, or do you mean like Scotland?
Who was the overall top goal scorer in the qualifying campaign group after Scott McTominay? Scott McTominay was the top goal scorer.
Right.
Who was second?
So is this like I'm still confused. Is this like for
Scotland's group?
In
Scotland's group.
Right. Scotland's group. Right. I thought you meant for Scotland.
So did I.
Right.
Overall top scorer.
A couple of options in there, right enough. A couple of good strikers.
So who was second to him in our group? I feel like Morata was in my shout for what Ryan was saying. But then I can only really remember 2 of his goals. Fuck it, get it under me. Morata.
Wow. No, it's not Morata. Ryan is the winner of the quiz.
Who was it? Don't make noise of it.
Do you know who plays up front for Norway?
I didn't even consider Norway
I was
because of where
stuck.
they finished.
I was stuck between the two as well. I was stuck between Morata and Haaland, and I actually was going to say Morata myself. I don't remember Haaland scoring that many. at
Nah,
all.
that's
So
why I was thinking.
Aye.
Ah, cool.
How many did Scott
anyway.
McTominay? He must have got 7 because Erling
6 or
Haaland.
7?
Erling Haaland get-
Uh,
Yeah, Haaland gets 6, 4 v Cyprus, 1 v Georgia, and 1 v Scotland from the penalty spot.
That's a
So,
fucking
Ryan-
goals against Cyprus. I had a score
Aye.
against.
It's a
It's
fucking
like the San
bum.
Marino. It's like France v San Marino.
That was a good quiz. Thank you, Ryan. You've done a fantastic job at hosting there.
There wasn't even a
And that-
tiebreaker on this, so I don't know
Was
what
it
that
not?
says about this.
Right, well, I think he expected us both to struggle there, didn't he? Of just something separating us. But that's it for the show. We've went on longer than I thought we would have. It's been an absolute pleasure to be back. Sadly, not in our usual surroundings and via the bright lights of the G4 Claims studio. But hopefully, for episode 100, we'll be there. But thank you all for listening, and hopefully we get a good result to celebrate tomorrow, and hopefully Tuesday as well. We'll just need to wait and see. So, Ryan McGinlay, thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
And Calum, thank you to yourself as well.
Thanks for having us, mate. Much appreciated as always.
And we'll see how we're feeling for episode 100. Who knows? Maybe we'll be out of Europe, or maybe we'll have a bit of hope to cling on to. We'll just have to wait and see. If you've
We will be
enjoyed,
there.
we will be there. If you've enjoyed, like and subscribe, give us 5-star Spotify and all that nonsense, and we'll see you all next time.